All right, Black Maze is at it again here. This is how SIG can improve VTOL. A new SC video series. Now, Black Maze has 17,000 subscribers. I recently found Black Maze through a racing league that was done in cooperation with Zark Media on Orison. If you guys want to check that out, they did a wonderful video, and it was an Orison player-driven race. It was a competition very similar to Atmo Esports. I believe the name of the racing league is XLG. I'm sorry if I'm getting that racing league, but it's very similar to like Atmo Esports and what Atmo Esports is doing. But they did a hell of a job on a race in Orison. And here we have his commentary on how he thinks SIG can improve VTOL. So let's check it out.
All the time. The coolest thing about starcitizen is that it attracts so many different people with interests in different parts of the game. There's truly something for everyone. Or there will be. For me, above everything else, it is the flight experience. Whether zero-G or atmospheric flight,
it is so important to me too.
Experiencing how the different ships all behave differently, with pros and cons, depending on how you treat them and where you take them. That's my jam. And that's why, with this video being the first, I'm starting a new starcitizen video series surrounding everything to do with the starcitizen flight experience.
All right! Very
In general,
cool.
These videos will be a little shorter than my Why Play Elite series. I'll be aiming to keep them short and to the point as I share my vision, ideas, and opinions on everything on the subject. Today, to kick things off, we're talking VTOL. Again. Having talked about VTOL before and listening to the inputs of others, I've come to what I think is my final conclusion on how I'd like to see the VTOL system improved and working in the future. But first, let's talk about how the VTOL system works currently and what some of the drawbacks are that are introduced. VTOL, standing for vertical takeoff and landing, is used on some ships, like the MISC Reliance series and the Anvil Terrapin, to name just two examples of many. The concept is that by the press of a button, you can rotate the main engines down in relation to the ship's normal orientation to support their ability to hover in higher gravity situations.
I agree,
Typically,
Red.
VTOL will be required only when gravity is too high or ships are fully laden. Meaning that in some conditions, these ships might also be able to hover even without VTOL, simply by using its maneuvering thrusters. In-game,
I was like one of those whiny bitches during that time. In 3.6, when I first fucking encountered VTOL, I didn't like it. And I was like, wah, 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 wah. And then I just spent a couple fucking hours with it. And once I mastered it, I was like, holy shit, what a fucking new experience this is. And how wrong I was. And I made a fucking public apology. I remember I made a video apologizing about how I hated VTOL because I was like, you know what? All it takes is a little bit of fucking time. You know, how dare myself for the fucking opinion I had. I remember that shit, dude. I remember that shit and I miss it. I miss it too. And you know what? I think that was the biggest fucking complaint. Lou says, I remember it too. That is when I subbed to you. Yeah, I think that's the one reason why it left is so many people didn't want to take the time to learn it. And people were lazy mode, you know, and I've always been one for like hardcore fucking mechanics in games. And here I was fucking, you know, going against my own fucking preference. And then, you know, I said, you know what, I'm going to fucking sit. Because I remember at first, I didn't know what the fuck was going on with my ship. And I was like, what the fuck did they do? And I just accredited it to bad game design at first. And I was like, oh, fuck, they fucked everything up. They fuck. I remember that shit, right? I was like all the fucking whiny bitches out there. And then I was like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm like, what the fuck is my problem? I critiqued myself. And then I spent a bit of time with it and I fucking mastered it. And I was like, wait a second, this adds a really cool fucking level of gameplay here. This is actually really fucking cool. And I made a fucking video and I was like, listen, I was a whiny bitch. I fucking apologize. I took some time out. I realized that VTOL is pretty fucking cool. And that was that 3.6 ERAD? I think you're right. I think it was 3.6 when the changes hit. And shit, man, like when they got rid of that, it really fucking, you know, it really killed something in terms of the actual flight model. So I'm very happy that Black Maze is doing a video just on the flight experience. What a great thing to do. What a really great thing to do.
Right now, the primary issues I see are the inconsistent usage of the tool. In some cases, like the anvil terrapin, you press a VTOL button and the engines rotate. It's an involved and instant process that requires very conscious decision making on when to enable or disable the tool. In other cases, like the MISC Reliant series, the VTOL button does not affect the angling of the thrusters, but instead it is a delayed and automated process that occurs only when you lower the landing gear. There is no manual way of angling the thrusters on demand, which makes the entire system rather slow, inconsistent, and less optimal in terms of usage. Now, before we move on to my suggestions to improve the system, let's check out two ships that do something rather interesting. Here's an RSI Aurora. Check out the maneuvering thrusters installed on the side of the ship. You notice how they rotate and orientate themselves depending on demand? Strafe up and they point down. Strafe down and they point up. Very clever. This is the Cartual, which features a similar system for the main thrusters. The main thrusters will angle themselves to provide additional thrust in both the lateral and vertical axes. They adjust themselves based on demand. Now, I know that currently this does not extend further than a simple animation. The thrust is always readily and instantly available in each direction, and the thruster animation just follows you to give you a fake impression of how this thrust is generated.
Yes. Point on. Point fucking on. I love the design of this ship, but he's absolutely right about the thrusters. It's a facade. He's absolutely right. I've flown the Cartual many times. I just love the design of the ship. I love alien ships. I have a fucking my no spot gets all excited for the fucking aesthetics of alien ships, but he's absolutely right here. That is point on.
So here is my suggestion. We could decide to retain the ability to manual toggle VTOL. We all like options. But let's for a moment imagine that we no longer do this. Instead, the angling of the VTOL thrusters is done automatically, on demand, based on thrust input. Are you hovering still? The VTOL thrusters angle themselves so that they can provide optimal thrust, downward. Are you starting to add strafe forward or main thrust? The VTOL thrusters rotate themselves now at a limited rate to provide more forward thrust on demand. Are you trying to stop again? The VTOL thrusters angle themselves back, again at a limited rate. And because they can only do this at a limited rate, you might need to pitch up a little to more quickly get the VTOL angles to provide optimal thrust to avoid sinking. Not only does this automated system make it incredibly intuitive and easy to use, it is immersive, it makes sense, and introduces a natural ramp up to thruster strengths in terms of providing some ships with insane strafe.
I like the idea. It would give ships more of a life to their own, and you would see a lot more moving parts. The one thing that I would say, and the reason why maybe the Cloud Imperium has not done it, is telemetry, is the amount of data that's required in the telemetry of the code. I mean, they could insert the code in for something to do that, but would it take up the resources to how badly would it take up resources if every ship had that telemetry added to where this was like an automatic process, and how much of processing power, how much actual load would that put into the actual experience? Could it be done? I don't know why it couldn't. I don't think it's a bad thing what he's suggesting. I really don't think it's a bad thing.
Up power. Now that this power is not readily available on demand anymore, but instead that power ramps up slowly as the VTOL thrusters angle themselves into position. I think for ships that use VTOL capability, this will create a really cool and interesting flight characteristic. When hovering still, their conversion to forward flight requires a gentle ramp up and vice versa. So, let me know in the comments below what you think of this idea and what else you'd like me to talk about in future episodes. Personally, I'd like to talk to you about and compare some ships that are shaped more optimally for aeroflight.
Why wouldn't that be automatic anyway? You know, even if you're looking at like the actual lore and how far advanced we are as a human species in Star Citizen, why wouldn't that be automatic anyway, right? I mean, the kind of manual process of getting into VTOL mode is a very kind of even right now in the 21st century that we're in is kind of like a prehistoric way to look at it. You know what I mean? Like most of this shit's going to be automated anyway. I mean, look at any automation right now in drones themselves. Yeah, like it's kind of like like this whole manual VTOL thing should be scrapped. I like it. I like Black Maze's ideas. I like this.
Flight, their control services, and how this all might impact future gameplays.
I like
all right,
it.
Thanks for listening, and I will see you out there.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Looking forward to more. Actually, looking forward to more. This whole, like, I'm very, very focused on the flight experience. I definitely think the flight experience can be improved, and I think this is wonderful that Black Maze is doing this. So keep up the good work. Go over to Black Maze's channel. Give him some support. Very well done. Very well done, and I hope to see a lot more. I would love to see like a planetary series, Black Maze, where you're focusing on gravity and physics and how you want the vehicles to fly in different atmospheres, different weathers. You know, like what you're looking forward to. It might be a little bit more theory craft oriented because some of that design is not inserted right now into Star Citizen. But like, I would love to hear your thoughts and views on atmospheric flight. That's one of the main flight experiences that I want to that I need changed in order to feel like these ships are more realistic in flight. So very, very cool, Black Maze. Keep up the wonderful work, and definitely interested in this series. Definitely, most definitely.